everybody. My name is Chris. I'm a seminarian for the Diocese of Toledo. I know a lot of you know me, but today what I'd like to talk about are two topics that they're perhaps things that we hate the most, or things that we try to avoid no matter what the cost. And that would be the idea of suffering and being uncomfortable. Think about it. Whole industries exist to remove any kind of suffering from our lives. If you ever watch TV and like half the commercials are medicine commercials to remove, whether it be migraines or a serious ailment, some kind of medicine to remove any kind of suffering. Or we love being comfortable. I have comfortable clothes, I have comfortable couches, a comfortable blanket. I mean, we love things that are comfortable. So while it's true we hate being uncomfortable and we hate suffering, I actually don't think those two things are the same thing. If you think about it, uncomfortability is a feeling. It's a feeling of unease. Well, suffering it's not a feeling, it's more of an action of pain that is done to you. So one is a feeling and one is an action. Now, if I look at the words of Jesus, he does not spend a lot of time or any time talking about uncomfortability. It's just not prevalent in Scripture. There is no blessed are the uncomfortable, for they will ... Now, why is that? Why does Jesus not spend a lot of time talking about being uncomfortable if that's one of the things that we want to get rid of more than anything else? And I think one of the reasons is because that was just assumed to be true for any Christian. Christians, it was assumed that we would be uncomfortable. And so the authors of Scripture, Jesus himself, didn't even discuss it because it wasn't worth their time. Being uncomfortable was just part of the deal. I remember as a youth minister, and I kid you not about this, as a youth minister, I woke up almost every day with a nervous feeling in my stomach. Like, what is today going to entail? And I remember in the early days, I was kind of mad about that. I was like, I shouldn't feel this nervous or uncomfortable. I should get rid of this. I should be more confident, or I should, be more joyful. And I did. I loved my job. But I realized the reason that it was an uncomfortable feeling every day is because I was supposed to rely on the Lord. It was teaching me to rely on the Lord. And maybe that's true for us. Maybe we have uncomfortability for a reason. Now, suffering, though, is a different story. Suffering is a lot harder. Suffering is an action of pain that is done to you, a lot worse than just being uncomfortable. And as a result, Jesus actually speaks a lot about suffering. He actually speaks a lot about him suffering. It's all over Scripture. One of the places that I found it was in Luke chapter 9, verse 22. He talks about him needing to suffer before he dies. And it's crazy where it's at. Actually, right before it, Peter said that Jesus is the Messiah for the first time. And after it, Jesus talked about what it meant to be a disciple, to carry our crosses. And in the middle, he talks about suffering. And so you can see suffering is kind of a anchor point or kind of central to all of these teachings. But Jesus does something amazing with suffering. Jesus doesn't just throw it out there like it's going to happen and just get used to it. Jesus actually gives meaning to suffering. He tells us that suffering is not arbitrary, but it actually has a purpose. There's a reason for it. And any suffering that we go through, it can have a purpose too. It can have meaning. Like Jesus, we can follow his lead, and there can be meaning to our suffering too. So, if you find yourself struggling with being uncomfortable, one option is to stop resisting it, to embrace it, because that's what followers of Jesus go through. But if you find yourself suffering, know that you can unite that to Jesus' suffering, and that it can have meaning, and that it's not just arbitrary. Just understand that often the meaning that comes with suffering takes some time to understand. You know, when Jesus died, very few people could find meaning to the suffering he went through. But a few days later, that meaning became so much more obvious. And the same can be true for us. So, if you haven't been paying attention a lot, not offended, if videos are not your thing, totally understand. But I just want to leave you with this one thought. God wastes nothing. He wastes absolutely nothing. God is a creator by nature. And so he will not waste your suffering either. There will be purpose and meaning to it. So God bless you. Hope to see you soon, and take care.
Be a perfect vessel, for you are God and I am not. Lord, help me take the road less traveled.